Whoa, okay. Aries, this is going to be your March 2019 tarot reading. It's general, but you can use it for your sun, your moon, and your rising. And also if you have Mars in Aries, okay? Um, Definitely the sun. We're embarking upon your season, but right now we're in Pisces season, so there might be some things that are hidden from you guys in terms of like things maybe being revealed. Maybe there's some information that you might be waiting for to receive, that type of thing. There might be some communication that you guys might be anticipating, just on like maybe some projects or some things that you may have set in place. I'm gonna go ahead and get started with your reading. Some of your cards popped out, but they all popped out and fell face down. So I put them down in the spread in the order that they fell out in, and then I just filled in the spaces, going forward. So let me just pull out the first card and flip that over. The overall energy in your reading is the strength card. So you guys might be committed to, just kind of creating more for yourself. The threes also have to deal with things starting to take shape and formation, not necessarily structures, but the hope and the consideration for like the possibility of more structure, right? So in terms of like creating more for yourself to achieve structure, that's what you're committed to. And you're also thinking about like what you believe in. It's almost kind of like what is actually important to you, and you're going to base your creativity off of that. It's almost like you're going to have to be coming from a greater sense of purpose, right? So you might just be tapping into like a greater sense of self, right? Because this is the strength card, and it does rule the heart, and it does have to do with like identity, because the sun is, it rules Leo, but it is also exalted in Aries. So this is coming from a place of identity and how you're able to be creative from that place, and it's inherent from like where you come from and your belief systems, your family, that type of thing, what you've learned. um you're also sort of like tempering yourself. I don't know why I'm getting, not the temperance card, but that idea of tempering yourself, like calibrating yourself so that you use the appropriate amount of energy or the appropriate amount of force. How are you asserting yourself in, whatever situation or scenario you might find yourself in? The eights also have to do with, identifying with one's weaknesses as well, understanding where those are, and understanding what it is to create out of your own weaknesses, yeah, and your own vulnerabilities, because it shows you a part of yourself that maybe you might have been uncomfortable with, or maybe you may have been a little bit stubborn in acknowledging that type of thing. The strength card is a yin energy, if you will, wearing all white in this deck, and there's a moment of purity as well. There's an element of purity here, so you're really coming from a place of genuineness. Yeah, you have to do that, even if it means that you're acknowledging parts of yourself that you feel uncomfortable with, that you may not want to show people. You know what I mean? You can't do everything all the time, right? um that type of thing. I'm getting like, taming lions. Like everybody can't tame a lion, that's a specific job for someone. So this might be just taking on, something that you may feel a little bit threatened by. But just have the courage to get through it. You're going to expose certain vulnerabilities to yourself, because that's how we deal with the cycles of things. There are going to be pros, cons, positives, negatives, that type of thing. Anyway, let me get to the first card that I flipped over for you. It's the Page of Cups. So you guys are embarking on a learning experience that has to do with, something that's hidden, right? Because I was talking about that at the beginning of the reading. This is a water card. It's the Page of Cups. I also think of like, the pages kind of like being, this is Pisces to me. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like you learning how to adapt to the fluctuations, right, and the changes that are happening, that you're being taught. Yeah, you're going through some emotional ups and downs, and you just want to understand like why this is happening, why certain things, why you're affected by certain things around you, or maybe this is allowing certain things around you to affect you too much. You know what I mean? It does have to do with receptivity. It does have to do with, talking. learning through experiencing, right? Because the pages have to go through a phase of experiences so that they can graduate to another level. So this is a gradual experience for you. This is like all of these things are going to be happening gradually, and you're going to be learning things about yourself. And you're going to be uncovering things about yourself that people won't be showing you. They won't be like, you're this way, or this is what you need to look at. It'll be like you seeing what you need to look at from like a very introspective point of view. Like you're going inward to understand why it is that you might be feeling some way about certain people in your life, what that might mean in terms of like what it's meant to teach you about yourself, that type of thing. And that's why Saturn rules the pages, because there's always something to learn and something to graduate from or graduate towards. And I see you being abundant in this experience of learning. I see you, it might be hard to deal with sometimes, but you might just be going through a lot of subconscious activity that you might be experiencing, like your dreams and just seeing things. This is Pisces season, and it's what's hidden from us. And you being an Aries, especially if you're an Aries rising and it's your first house, then it's like this energy is very, very much tapped into your subconscious, where we are right now. Okay. And we just had a Virgo full moon. Virgo is what? Your sixth house. So it has to do with routine efforts. It has to do with like the day to day, the jobs that you do day to day, the people that you see every day. It's like cleaning your house, that type of thing. It's also got to do with like what you put into your body on a day to day basis. So you guys are looking at that. You're starting to understand that there are probably some habits, right? Because that also, Virgo rules the habits, right? The Page of Cups has as Pisces has a habit of like attaching every emotion they have to something, to the experience. So it's almost like everything that you experience isn't why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, right? So sometimes it's not just the external. I was talking about this with an Aries today. There he is behind me. Something hidden. Anyway, we were talking about that. So, this is for him as well. And I'm definitely trying, doing my best to keep it very general. And I am. You didn't even know he was here. So, Pluto in the first house. So yeah, you guys are learning from your experiences. What's the challenge of that? Oh, the Three of Cups. Work. I'm living for this. So the Three of Cups, people talk about it being like third party relationships, but yeah, of course, that's like one aspect of this card. It cannot only be that all the time. So this is Mercury in Cancer. So this is communication with a Cancer, perhaps. You might be dealing with a Cancer who might be creative, who might be trying to create something. You might even be being that nurturing energy for them, because the Three of Cups is related to the Empress. That's coming in as a challenge. Maybe you might be feeling like your efforts to nurture something or someone may be going, falling through the cracks. Or maybe you might be feeling like there's a sense of hope because there's something forming out of this, right? You feel like something is being built, something is sort of like being grown, because like with the threes, it does talk about growth as well, right? It also is the completion of a cycle, maybe the first phase of a series of cycles completing. But anyway, growth wise, you've got the earth, you've got the water, and all you need is the seed, right? So now you've got some growth taking place right there. But yeah, the challenge is definitely creative efforts. Maybe it has to do with like communications with parties that have to do with the creative collaboration or energy moving forward in a process of creation, because the threes do have to do with collaborative efforts, right? Definitely. Because two people collaborate together to create something, and that's the third thing. So this might be you feeling some kind of way about a learning experience that you might be going through in terms of what you're trying to create with other people that you might be collaborating with. It could be that. Maybe you're learning some things in that sense. There might be something to do with March. Also, there may be have something to do with like the third house of communications, because that's ruled by Mercury. Mercury's going retrograde in Pisces in March. This is Mercury in a water sign, right? It's the third cup card. That's March. So you might be dealing with some Pisces, some Cancer energy in March. Something might be being created. There might be something that presents itself to you with people that you know and you love, perhaps, because the Three of Cups is kind of like dealings with energy that you feel comfortable with, because Cancer is talking about comfort levels, but it's from a place of an emotional standpoint. Our emotions are part of our subconscious, and it's a place that you can't get to, so you have to express that outwardly so that other people can relate to you on that same level, right? Because before it was hidden, but now it's shown to you. So there might be something going on with the moon here. Maybe the new moon in Pisces on March 6th may reveal something to you. That's also something that I'm getting with the Page of Cups being here and then the Three of Cups crossing it. So yeah, just be aware of that, March 6th. And there's a lot of planetary aspects going on that day. I don't have my astrologer's almanac or pocket astrologer next to me, but look at March 6th if you can search it. There's a lot of stuff going on that day, okay? Um, what you're working with that you already know, let's look at that. Ooh, that's the Ace of Rods. That's at the bottom of the reading. Now, this card popped out, and when it popped out, I did turn it over to see if it was reversed or upright. It was reversed, but I turned it upright, and I'm just going to say there might be a false start with something, or maybe you had like an impetus to do something, and then maybe you feel like you're stepping back from that impetus to do something, right? It could be like just a false start. Like, it's not saying that it's not going to happen. It's just saying that like there might be like a delay by like a week or something. You know what I mean? It's not really anything intense. But it is an ace, so it's very strong, and there's a lot of growth in this opportunity, right? And it's the awareness of the opportunity or the awareness of what's about to take place for you that is going to make you consider, what's possible here. The aces do have to do with maybe like a sense that you have about yourself and what you are able to create. You might have to take action on something first, to set the ball rolling or to get the ball rolling, to turn the switch on. This is your energy. I consider the aces the cardinal energy of that suit. So that says Aries to me. And it says that you just are, you're comfortable in yourself right now. You might be feeling a sense of self that you weren't before, some of these planetary aspects that have taken place now. We're in that energy. We've had a couple of full moons. We had some new moons. We had an eclipse, so some things were probably closing out for you. And now that those things have closed out, you're able to, the universe is bringing you other things, and you're able to just kind of like step onto that platform, right? So let's go ahead and look at the top of the read. This also signifies your birthday too. So your Aries season starts what, March 20th, March 21st, March 20th, I believe. And then there also is going to, see, this is what happens in these readings with these cards and stuff, because I'm talking about the full moon that I was just about to speak on, the full moon that happens once we go into Aries season on March 20th. That is the day that the full moon in Libra happens, and at the top of the reading, which is what you're going towards that you just don't know yet, and I was talking about the moon cycles and the evolution of things and the new moon in Pisces, the moon in Libra. It's at the top of your reading. That's your full moon, or my full moon, because I'm a Libra. But it is your full moon. It's in your 7th house. So there might be a choice that you have to make that's going to affect you emotionally, or may affect other people, Aries, because at the bottom of this reading, the foundation is you, Ace of Rods. At the top of the reading is your house of relationships, where the moon will be illuminated in March. I was just talking about March with the Three of Cups here and the Page of Cups, right? What decision are you making around the middle of the month or past the middle of the month that you feel like is going to affect other people? Could affect your partner, could affect, just business partnerships that you may have. Yeah, it's just kind of like understanding that the choice that you make is going to be your choice, so it's going to be the best choice for you, right? This is also like you might be like holding back on making a decision because you just don't know yet. You want something to play out, because twos do have to do with waiting, and when you're in waiting or making a choice, right? So there's a decision that has to be made. And when you think about decision, I also think about decoding, right? Because decision, DEC, anyway, decoding. You're making a choice, so you're kind of like revealing something to yourself, because this is related to the high priestess as well, and the high priestess is definitely decoding something for us. She's decoding the mysteries of life somewhat, you know what I mean? Because life is always going to be a mystery until it's not, and by that time you're gone. So yeah, you're definitely making a decision in terms of like how you feel about something. You're being very logical about making that decision, but what it is may not be revealed to you yet, because it is a two, and it's talking about something that is hidden. Um, it's shallow water, so you're able to be very logical probably with making this decision. Now, the way that it affects other people may not feel shallow to them. You know what I mean? But that's okay. It's your decision to make. It's not like it's theirs. Okay, so let's look at your air placement here. So this is like your mind and what you're thinking, communication, and there's something else that came up about communication in the Lenormand deck that I pulled some cards from, but I'll get to that later. So let's talk about. Right. So we're looking at the King of Pentacles here in the air sector of your reading. This is talking about you feeling responsible for something, right? You feeling responsible for people around you, possibly. It's like in your head, people are looking towards you to kind of like bring some stability to their lives, or stability in terms of like the wisdom that you may have, or they might even be looking towards you to help provide them with something, because the King of Pentacles definitely is a provider, and he provider, that's what I call people who watch Providence Tarot, providers. So it's the proof of something too, and it's the physical formation of the proof of something, the manifestation, right? It's like you might be trying to come up with money, or people might be asking you for money, or you might be stepping into a role of feeling responsible. You might actually be, running into some money. You may get something that makes you feel more abundant. But people are seeing you as valuable. Period. Okay. All right. So it's so funny, because the King of Pentacles is fixed, right? So it's the perspective and how you know, how you think, how you perceive things, what are your conceptions, right? Your beliefs about things, and how it deals with money. So you might be thinking about how you deal with money and your approach to money, and how people see you um in that way. I mean, like, you look abundant here in the reading, okay? And that's Taurus energy. So it talks about security, financial security. Um, and then right next to that, we have the sun in Scorpio. So this is kind of like balanced energy here, right? Because these are two opposing energies. So there might be, a sense of fairness that you might be thinking of. Because when we think about opposing energies, right away, I think Aries, which is at the foundation of this reading, and Libra, which is at the top of this reading, right? And those are opposition too. Then you have an opposition here, right? Polarities, that's what we're looking at. So, there might be a sense of nostalgia. You might be dealing with like siblings, or you might be dealing with children, and the awareness of how you might be of the commitment that you have towards them. This could be you looking back at things and thinking about the past, right? And how you may have matured since then, or just the degree of which you have grown, or how things are different than they were in the past. You might even be looking at the past and thinking, man, like I'm so far removed from the past that like it brings me a sense of warmth to look back at that, even though I know that it's made me who I am today. That type of thing. The sixes also have to do with maybe there are some hidden things from the past that you might be dealing with, or someone might be dealing with in the family, because, the Six of Cups is, Scorpio deals with, just your attachment to like things that are hidden, and scorn and resentment and fear based things, and, you know, elements of control and protection. I feel like you might be trying to protect someone from their past, or you might be looking back at someone's past, and you may be wanting to offer, just a connection. Like you want to connect to someone from your past, possibly, and it might be by way of the family. You might be reconnecting to someone from your past in your family. And they might be valuing this connection or this reconnection or something like that. Yes. So now let's look at the Lenormand card that is, matched up with this part of the reading for you. And that is Parks. So this is kind of like it's Jupiter. It's a 10 from the Lenormand. So this talks about like the expansion of something, the awareness of something, right? And then it's also 20. So this is a choice that has to be made that involves risk, right? There's some choices that may have to be made that involves risk around the family, and people might be looking up to you to help them decide what these choices or what this decision should be, how they should go about doing this, right? And it talks about like people, everyone being involved in this and making this decision that involves risk, right? It might have to do with like a gentleman or a husband or a father or something like that. It might have to do with an opportunity that someone has that has to do with, uh, taking a risk by making a choice, a decision. And we've been talking about the decision, since the Two of Swords came up at the top of the reading. Yeah, for sure. So there's some major decisions that have to be made. And it's one that's going to involve, a group of people. Um, and it's also like there's a sense of like atonement that comes from this choice, right? There might be a sense of relief that comes from making this choice, obviously, because once it's kind of like judgment has been made. We've determined something. There's like a determination that has to be made with the family, and it has to be done in a mature way. That's what I'm getting. Okay, so that's what you guys are talking about. That's what you're thinking about. Now let's look at the water placement, which is talking about home and family. Um, and it also just has to do with, how you're feeling, your emotions. But we're going to go with home and family here. Um, you have an 8, which is related to the strength card that we pulled for you at the bottom of the reading, or that came up for you at the bottom of the reading. Um, So, you might just be with what's going on and the cycles that you've been closing out, probably with your family, with yourself. It's really testing you, and you're probably having to work very hard to maintain a level of consistency about you. You're staying motivated, and you're definitely staying disciplined in your need to create. You're trying to produce the same thing every time. It's about consistency and really showing up and proving yourself to your family. I feel like that's what you're doing. You're trying to prove yourself to your family because, this is Sun in Virgo. Okay, so there we go again with that Sun in Virgo, that 6th house energy, that routine, being of service to the family, trying to help them figure out a piece of the puzzle that has yet to be determined, right? Because we're dealing with like conflict within an institution that involves many people that are all operating from a place of ego and pride. And Saturn is showing you that there is some karmic things that are being played out. There's energy that's being played out from the lineage of the family or past things. I told you guys, we're dealing with Sun and Scorpio energy here in the air sector. So you guys are thinking about stuff from the past that involves your family, right? Nostalgia, fear, resentment, things that you can't control, needing to let go of some things, really closing out cycles from your past that have to do with your relationships, right? Because we just had a full moon in Virgo, right? And now we're about to have a full moon in Libra. on the 20th of March, which is the first day of Aries, which is what we're working with at the bottom of the reading. It's in Libra. There's a choice that has to be made. It involves family. It involves the day-to-day. It involves something that is always there, right? Consistent. And this is earth energy. So it may have to do something with money in the family. It might have to do something with property in the family. And it might have to do something with like the strength to understand, or just understanding what is going to bring about more consistency or stability, right? You don't want things to get too out of control. You're trying to maintain a level of order within the family, but it keeps getting, there's still conflict. People feel like they're unable to, like, it's like that game Pickup Sticks. There's a lot of conflict on that table with all of those sticks and those wands that are like all like clumped up together, yes? And it almost seems like, as soon as you take away one of those wands, it brings away a little bit of you know, the force or the blockade, right? There's a sense that everyone is playing a part in the energy being blocked here, because everyone is learning how to deal with ego and pride issues and what they believe and what the family believes and who's doing what in the family and who's not cooperating and who is, that type of thing. Who's cooperating, who's participating, who's doing their part. It's also creating healthy boundaries daily, right? It's that routine effort in creating healthy boundaries. So you might have to create some healthy boundaries that you don't want to create because it's the family, right? And you're so attached to them. Yeah. Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Mars. Um, it has to do with like the fifth house too, because maybe this is kind of like stifling your ability to create more for yourself, right? Because you're so focused on being of service to the family, and there's some toxic energy that has to be cleansed because from the Lenormand deck, you guys got the coffin, which talks about, disease and sorrows. And it also talks about toxicity, right? And it's an 8. So you got the strength card from the Morgan Greer deck, which is an 8. You also got the 8 of Pentacles from the Morgan Greer, which is Sun and Virgo, right? And for you guys, that's your fifth and your sixth house. And also, from the Lenormand deck, the Coffin card is number 8. And it just has to do with, probably some secrets too, or some hidden stuff, or things that have been locked away. Um, there might be some sadness that is involved around uh, this conflict with the family that you guys might be experiencing together. Or maybe it's just, it's cultivating like some sadness, and you guys are vulnerable to that energy. Um, so you're definitely trying to like keep things moving forward. There's going to be some highs and lows. There's going to be some ups and downs. You guys are going to have to like diffuse this energy. And that's what the strength card talks about, which we opened the beginning of the reading with at the bottom of the deck. It's the diffusion of something, right? The diffusion, difference, indifference, differentiating, difficulties, diffusing the difficulties, right? And that's why you got the Parks card here as well, because it is 20 and it's the awareness that something has to be diffused. And I've never even used that I've never correlated that with this card, but it's coming up in this reading, for sure. So, just you're going to feel vulnerable to this energy, but it's okay because the full moon is coming up in your house of relationships. You know what I mean? You're being tested. It's karmic. Saturn and Pluto are in your 10th house right now with Venus, the ruling planet of relationships, bringer of peace and harmony. She's going to be then, she's about to leave. She's like at the top, at the end of Capricorn. So you might be feeling a heightened sense of like codependencies, unhealthy attachments, or attachments that you might be, experiencing, like people that you're related to that might have, right? You're attached to their unhealthy attachments, that type of thing, right? So we're dealing with that. Now let's look at what's going on in the earth sector for you, which is talking about work. It's talking about your physical body as well, that type of thing. The people in your life that are physically there, that, work, money, finances, career. All right now. Okay, so you got another page. So that's saying that you guys are definitely learning from, you're going into a new career phase, right? It's not like you're going into a new career. You're going into a new career phase, and it involves business. It's very business oriented. You have a cardinal queen here, which is the Queen of Rods. That's also your energy, but the Queen of Rods is usually looked at as being Leo energy because it's yellow. There's sunflowers here. There's usually a cat in the card, but the queens are cardinal, so it's talking about initiating something. So you're going to be able to like get some things jumped off, right? There's growth here. There's some prosperity here by way of this thing that's going to be provided to you. It's going to be a learning experience for you as well. Maybe even your family. Maybe, someone is going to proposition you with a business deal. Or maybe there might be something that has more longevity that is a business deal, or that has to do with finances, because the pages hopefully are going to have longevity because they need it, because they're trying to get from the page to the knight through to the queen energy, where they're initiating things and they have pull, they have influence, up until the point where they are the person that you are trying to impress, the king, right? So you're going to get to that place. You might even skip feel like you're skipping part of it because you're going straight from page to queen. And it's like you're learning a lot, and you're learning a lot well. It's like you're becoming enriched in your experience. You are also looking back at your past and learning and realizing what it has taught you, right? And it plays into how passionate you are about achieving things in your life. And just kind of like in your development as well. It's played a major role in your development, and it's made you who you are today in terms of like what you feel like you're able to go after. It actually has played a part into like the hunger that you have for life. Definitely, look at these business deals that you might be involved in and see how you can get the most out of them. You know what I mean? If something is just, doesn't seem like it's going to be the best deal for you, then you have other things to pull from or to pick from. But this is definitely saying that you can get what you want as long as you make it you make it known that it is what you want. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to, if you don't, without the demand, there's no supply. You know what I mean? So it's talking about supply and demand. That's what I get from the Queen of Rods, right? She's like the supply, and then there's the demand, but she's also the demanding factor, because it's like when you're supplying something, then you have to like demand things, right? Otherwise, you'll be taken advantage of. But this lady isn't being taken advantage of at all, because she knows that there are certain demands that she has to make. And there are certain expectations that she has about people. You know what I mean? This could be loaning someone money and expecting to get it back, because the Page of Pentacles might be the person that needs a loan for the money, and the Queen of Rods is like, okay, well, if I give you this back, this is the business deal, or this is the agreement that we have to set in place. You know what I mean? And it might even be like, right, the Page of Pentacles, that's like a cycle, right? That's like phase one, the first installment, the second installment, the third installment, the fourth installment, we're done, that type of thing. So now let's look at the Lenormand. Okay, so there's right, wow, okay. The pages are ruled by Saturn. The Page of Pentacles is a pentacle, and Saturn is an Earth planet. So that is definitely Capricorn energy, right? So the Tower came up from the Lenormand deck, but it's different in the Lenormand deck. So this is talking about feeling isolated, right? Also by work, or something might be making you feel isolated because it involves money, or because it involves like the amount of effort or the amount of time that you might be putting into something. You might be feeling like alone in a scenario, like you're taking care of something by yourself, and that's what Saturn does teach you sometimes, that you have to do something by yourself. Saturn is like, a lot of people call it the bitch planet, but it's that planet that really makes you do something because you yourself have to do it, right? And then once you learn that lesson that Saturn is teaching you, your goal, right? Listen, you're talking to somebody with Saturn in the first house conjunct Pluto. And Saturn is the furthest in my first house. So it gets really heavy. It gets really difficult. Things slow down. Your development might feel like you've been slowed down. People wonder why you've been slowed down, but they don't understand because they don't have Saturn and Pluto conjunct in their first house. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like an energy of feeling like people don't understand the struggle that you might be experiencing, but it really is a karmic lesson that you're meant to learn on your own. And that's why this person is in the tower on their own, watching things go on around them, right? They're on an island, right? So maybe some of you might be on an island. Or maybe you might be feeling like you're on an island when people are still around. You know what I mean? Um, you might be feeling like people are waiting to take advantage of you as soon as you come out from that place of isolation. You know what I mean? Um, and it's the awareness of how a phase has to complete itself, and it's like you might be teaching someone that, or you might be aware that a cycle has to end, and it might require like a harsh lesson of karma, or like a harsh learning lesson or something like that. But it is Saturn. It is talking about work. It is talking about feeling like you might be feeling imprisoned by your work, or you might be feeling like a slave or imprisoned by your responsibilities or what you might be obligated towards. You know what I mean? It's like the weight of something. It is gravity, because when you think about how this tower can stay on this little tiny piece of land around all of this water and all of this commotion and activity that's going on around it, it's because of the weight of the situation and gravity. This is like a fortification for one person. You can't get in and you can't get out, right? That's what you're doing. You're kind of like, well, you just don't want to get locked into a situation that you won't be able to get in or out of by way of a contract. Okay, because Saturn is exalted in Libra, and Libra is talking about contracts, marriages, and bonds, right? And this tower here makes it feel like you can't get out of something and no one can get in to save you from it. So just be mindful of your business deals that you make with people. Or just like any agreement that you might have with someone that might have to do with money, or just like a project or something like that, and that, just take that, interpret that how you will, Aries out there, and just understand that if you're an Aries sun and you have a different moon or you have a different rising, that this might speak to you in a completely different way, if not at all. Okay, so now I've covered that. Let's look at the fire placement. So this is all you, right? We're excited about your fire placement in this reading because we want to see if there's some fire cards or air. Aries. Okay, that's definitely not fire or air. Let me flip over the other card. Okay, you got another page, and it's fire. You got 3 pages, darling. So this is saying that like new phases, some phases are closing out and some phases are beginning. But in the fire placement, which is creativity, it's passion, it's energy, it's also destruction, right? Because fire destroys and it also purifies, it creates as well. So the Queen of Cups, another cardinal, queen. And she is initiating feelings, initiating like, emotional, it's like the cycle of emotions, it's like emotional patterns. She is very mature in dealing with emotional processes. She is very pivotal in some people's emotional evolution, right? Because she is always there to nurture that part of themselves or the other person that they are fearful of, right? Water is unstable. The Queen of Cups is mature water energy. So she understands emotional instability, right? And she knows how to bring about more emotional uh, stability for other people. That's what she has to offer. She has a great deal of value to her, especially to the people in her family. So this could be your mother. There could be something going on with that. She might be looking towards you for something. Um, she is turned towards directly almost the Six of Cups, which is talking about children, it's talking about the past, and the mother also gives you life, and in life, she also gives you death. But it's about the evolution in between Cancer energy. Do you guys have Cancers in your life? It's about the emotional evolution in between life and death that has the value, right? The cycles, what you're experiencing, how you're relating to it, the subconscious parts, the external parts, what's going on there. Okay. So the Queen of Cups has a need to express something, right? She wants to nurture something. She wants to provide something to the experience for everyone. So this could be you stepping up and being that leader in that way of giving everyone an opportunity to express something, right? And you being there for them and like giving them what they need and giving them emotional security, and people might be looking towards you for that, and you're giving them that, but it's like you need that from people as well. So, you might be coming to a point of like needing them for the same reasons they need you. Not exactly the same, but you're like, okay, I've been being of service to you guys. I've been offering up myself to you guys. I've been giving you advice. I've been, that type of thing. I've been present for you. Now are you going to be present for me in my time of need, right? And then the Page of Rods is next to it. That's the effect, right? The effect is, enthusiasm, right? Things being set in motion. You're feeling a creative force inside of you. There's something to learn too here in terms of like the Page of Rods being the effect of the cause of the Queen. So, because of the Queen, the effect is the Page of Rods. Because of this desire to create out of, nurturing, people are going to feel energized from that. People are going to feel like they have what it takes to move forward. You know, Also, I think that there might be a little bit of some naivety. Somebody might be being a little bit naive in terms of what they feel like they can do, and I feel like somebody might have to bring somebody down to reality and get them to see something that they probably were unable to see without this person, providing parts of themselves, whatever that means for some of you. Um, Somebody is embarking on a phase of learning by doing. It's almost like the mom, like you probably, or your mother, you know, pushing you out there and saying fly or go, learn from these experiences or go off and do these things. And when you come back, let me know what you've learned. That type of thing. It does have to do with like a gradual process. Mm, it might be feeling like you're gaining ground over a period of time. You might actually be opening up your arms or something to like young people that might be feeling very like encouraged or enthusiastic about doing something. You know, young, I'm getting young youthful people that might be capable, or maybe you're the person that's capable of doing something that you might be in the early stages of doing, right? And it has to do with, like, you're feeling very confident about it, and it's kind of like, that you need to do this thing, even though you might be a little bit like nervous about it. It's not nerves, it's just kind of like you're like, oh, a new beginning, starting over, or starting from a beginning point, right? But this says that there's acceleration there and there's energy there for you to move forward successfully. And I feel like that, and it's part of your subconscious telling you to go forward with something because it will be successful. And the Queen of Cups could just be you, right? Tapping into that subconscious part of yourself. And the Page of Rods is the external part of you that's actually able to do it based on what you learned, or what you've been told, or what's been communicated to you from your GPS system that is your emotions, right? You can't deny your emotions. You can't ignore those things because you're made of like 80% of water. You need water to live, right? Water is so, well, it's abundant around us. Some people don't have water. So, it's saying that, like, you can't ignore those parts of your subconscious that are really starting to speak to you. And they have come, it's like your subconscious energy, or how you have been relating to that energy, has matured. So you're able to really, like, rely on it. Yeah, because the Queen of Cups wants to rely on something too. And what she can rely on is her intuitive energy and her inspiration, her divine feminine source, that guides her. So now you're able to make these changes, and now you're able to move forward with something as the Page of Rods, because you are determined, you are encouraged, you feel like, there's some principle behind it, and, you're asserting yourself, and you're not necessarily intimidated by it, right? So that's your reading. There's some communications that have to come in that have to do with some creative efforts and a choice that has to be made to move forward with something. But it's like you won't be able to make that choice to move forward with creating something until you receive the information from elsewhere. And this could be like, just like a confirmation, right? You might be waiting for a confirmation. Um, But then I got the whips card as well. I just decided to flip another card over. So there might be a disagreement of something. Um, Maybe you disagree with the communication that's coming in. It also has to do with making a choice, and this choice that you make may bring about a disagreement, or there might be a disagreement that leads you to making a choice that might affect you emotionally or someone else. Um, there might be an argument or something. There's a level of guilt here too. You might be guilty. You might feel guilty about something, and you may feel like disappointed by something, because like 11 is related to like Libra as well, and it's also related to like you know choosing, because one and one is two, and twos talk about choices and opposition. And when there is an opposition, there's a disappointment on one side or another, unless there's full balance. But this is whips, and that's not balance to me. you know, it's two people being focused on what it is that they identify with, and that is what is bringing the argument or the disagreement, because you're like, well, this is what I think. Well, this is what I think. You know what I mean? And it's two ones instead of it actually being a two, you know, right? So it's giving me kind of like Gemini energy as well, where there's a little bit of like there's like some kind of like, focus here. Focus, right? You both need to focus on what really matters, actually. And this is just a part of the evolution of this process. Um, and it's about adaptability. How are you adapting to the changes? Because the information that comes in by way of the letter or the text or the phone call or whatever, um, you know, that could be the disagreement. The disagreement might just happen over the phone. You know what I mean? Or it could be like over email or something like that. It could be like it could be a date, right? It could definitely be a date, or it could be like details that involve something, and those details might change. That's why you have to maintain your adaptability. And Mercury is in your 12th house right now, and it's going to go retrograde. So you're going to be revisiting some things that were hidden from you before, right? Or you might rediscover some things, or you might discover some things that were hidden from you before this retrograde energy set itself into play. That's what I'm getting. But yes, I think that that is your reading, Aries, and I hope that this resonates with some of you, all of you, most of you, one, two of you. Definitely stay encouraged. Definitely, embrace whatever vulnerabilities might be being shown to you, because if you don't look at those things, then they will continue to be there until they are shown to you again. Yes. All right. Bye, Aries. Love you guys. Enjoy. Like the video. Share. Subscribe. Comment, if you will. I always get back to you. I read at Shanti Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery. It is on East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. I read there on Sundays from 12 to 6, perhaps 12 to 5, depending on the day and what reader is coming in after me. The address is 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. Union Square, East Village, NYU area. Definitely. And if you would like to get a private reading from me, email me at providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot, of course. And then my private account, or my personal account, it's not private, is NYC Kendrick. The other spiritual account in conjunction with Providence Tarot is Kendrick NYC. And if you like food, you like eating, then you might like my food account. It is The Tongue Pop. Okay? So I will see you guys later on this month. I do have to post the weeklies. Those will be coming up at some point within the next day or two. Enjoy your birthday season. I think I will focus April on your birthday reading video. Okay? Bye, Aries.